Good Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Conversation Daily News. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. We, of course, have your news headlines coming up on this hump day. We have the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and today's Entertainment Spotlight being part of my conversation with author and motivational speaker Genesis Harris, discussing her book, The Secrets of a Fallen Rising Star. Enjoy today's program. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with their Wednesday headlines. In national news, White House says Texas hostage taker had raised no red flags. The gunman who took 4 people hostage at a Texas synagogue in a 10-hour standoff that ended in his death was checked against law enforcement databases before entering the U.S., but raised no red flags, the White House said on Tuesday. The 44-year-old British citizen arrived in the U.S. at Kennedy Airport in New York on a tourist visa about 2 weeks ago, officials said. He spent time in Dallas area homeless shelters before the attack Saturday in the suburb of Colleyville. The hostage taker was not believed to be included in the terrorist screening database, a listing of known or suspected terrorists maintained by the FBI and shared with a variety of federal agencies, 2 law enforcement officials told the Associated Press on Tuesday. Had he been included, it would have been extremely difficult for him to get into the country. British media, including The Guardian, reported on Tuesday that the hostage taker was invested by the Domestic Intelligence Service, MI5, as a possible terrorist threat in 2020, but authorities concluded he posed no danger and the investigation was closed. Britain's Home Office did not immediately comment on the reports. The case illustrated once more the difficulties in identifying potential lone wolf attackers despite the U.S. government's enormous strides in its counterterrorism efforts since 9/11/2001. In more national news, White House soft launches COVID-19 test request website. The Biden administration on Tuesday quietly launched its website for Americans to request free at-home COVID-19 tests a day before the site was scheduled to officially go online. The website, covidtest.gov, now includes a link for Americans to access an order form run by the U.S. Postal Service. People can order 4 at-home tests per residential address to be delivered by the Postal Service. It marks the latest step by President Joe Biden to address criticism of low inventory and long lines for testing during a nationwide surge in COVID-19 cases due to the Omicron variant. There were isolated reports on Tuesday afternoon of issues relating to the website's address verification tool, erroneously enforcing the 4-person household cap on apartment buildings and other multi-unit dwellings, but it was not immediately clear how widespread the issue was on Tuesday. In more national news, Biden Year 1 takeaways, grand ambitions, humbling defeats, says the Associated Press. Joe Biden's long arc in public life has always had one final ambition: to sit behind the resolute desk of the Oval Office. He achieved it, albeit at age 78, as the oldest person to assume the presidency. After the turbulence and chaos of his predecessor, Biden was seen by voters as one who could restore a sense of normalcy and a reassuring tone to the White House. But Biden also found out, says the Associated Press, as all his predecessors have, that events beyond his control would shape his time in office. His big ambition, said the Associated Press, started his presidency with more than a $4 trillion worth of big ideas, his eyes larger than what the Senate could stomach. $1.9 trillion worth of coronavirus relief passed in March of his first year, which in many first years in office would have been considered a signature achievement. But Biden kept asking for more: an additional $2.3 trillion for infrastructure and jobs, and another $1.8 trillion for families. After some torturous negotiations, he got a version of his infrastructure plan passed, and even got more than a dozen Republicans in the Senate to vote for it. But attention spans are short. Biden's $1.8 trillion package, says the Associated Press, which he labeled Build Back Better, had elements that included a wish list of Democratic priorities for the past decade. So far, it looks like the bill was not, to turn the expression on its head, too big to fail. In international news, despite huge volcano blasts, Tonga avoids widespread disaster. The blast from the volcano could be heard in Alaska, and the waves across the ocean to cause an oil spill and 2 drownings in Peru. The startling satellite images resembled a massive nuclear explosion. And yet, despite sitting almost on top of the volcano that erupted so violently on Saturday, the Pacific nation of Tonga appears to have avoided the widespread devastation that many initially feared. In business news, AT&T and Verizon paused some new 5G after airlines raise alarm. AT&T and Verizon will delay launching new wireless service near key airports after the nation's largest airlines said the service would interfere with aircraft technology and caused massive flight disruption. And finally, in more business news, technology and bank stocks drag Wall Street to new low for 2022. Technology companies led a broad sell-off on Wall Street Tuesday as bond yields surged amid renewed jitters that the Fed Reserve will act more aggressively than expected to tackle rising inflation. The S&P 500 fell 1.8%, with about 90% of the stocks in the benchmark index closing in the red. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's now time for the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich. Mary Ellen, that's all yours.
Hi, this is Mary Ellen with your Truth of the Day. Focus on the positive, whether it is seeing rain as a gift from God to the earth or focusing on the positive nature of the people in your life. Keep your positivity light on the bright beam. An idealistic attitude can assist you to see the positive potential in people. At times, you may find yourself discounting people or circumstances that fail to meet your expectations. Learning to look for and distinguish positive potential will enable you to turn disappointments into blessings. Adjusting your expectations takes awareness and practice, as you have been taught since birth to have expectations, motives, and judgments about everything and everyone in your life. Your positive attitude will help you to see situations differently. Today, recognize the people you love as the individuals they are and see your circumstances as changeable. And remember, enjoy your day.
Author and motivational speaker Genesis Harris is featured in today's Entertainment Spotlight. We're here on Conversation Daily News. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with the Entertainment Spotlight. Author and motivational speaker Genesis Harris joined me recently on Conversations Live, the radio show, to talk about her book, The Secrets of a Fallen Rising Star. Here's a bit of our conversation.
So, Genesis, I want to talk about this experience for you. What has it been like for you to be able to, for one, share your story with the world and to see the way that people are responding to it?
Shocked. Very shocked. I kind of got led in a spiritual way to write my story, something I was very resistant on. But the response I was ashamed of it when I had the disagreement with God about how I was not prepared to share my story, and was quite embarrassed by my story. So when the book came out, I was kind of shocked to see I got quite the opposite. A lot of different things that was kind of a shocker. Didn't expect that.
But the thing that really strikes me is that, I mean, from early on, you're someone who's had to deal with challenges, whether you're talking about health challenges in the family, and being able to see abuse and witness abuse firsthand from family. Did you realize when you started writing the book all that you had been able to overcome up until that point?
Actually, no. When I started writing, and I wrote it, I wrote everything on it. I remember the powwow, like I said, me and God had that day, because I kept procrastinating. I started writing, everybody for years, you need to tell your story. And I said, no, okay, I'll tell it. And then one day it was a spiritual thing, and I kind of got myself handed to me, and was very clear to write my story and don't hold back and tell it all and be honest.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning in to this edition of Conversations Daily News. We'll have you guys on tomorrow with more news, Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and of course your Entertainment Spotlight. Until then, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversation Daily News today. Let's make today amazing. Take care.